If there is a favorite word in Finance Minister Mike de Jong's vocabulary, it is this: balance. And that's what he delivered today, another balanced budget.
British Columbians have scored a fiscal hat trick. For the third year in a row, British Columbia will have a balanced budget.
Not only is the budget balanced, but it projects a $534 million surplus for the coming year. The biggest funding increase by far goes to healthcare, which will receive more than $500 million in new funding. And there's a slight $104 million increase to social services. The government is ending the controversial clawback of child support payments from those on social assistance. There's another 4% annual increase in MSP premiums, and a whopping $6.2 billion will be spent building such projects as roads, bridges, schools, hospitals, and the like. Reaction to the government's budget split along predictable lines.
I think this government has not squandered the resources that we had like Alberta did. And I think they're really doing for the taxpayer today and tomorrow, controlling spending today and ensuring that the debt continues to go down for taxpayers tomorrow.
We're giving a tax break to the wealthiest 2% of British Columbians and nothing for the working poor. There's actually hundreds of thousands of workers in this province that work full-time and live in poverty. So no raise in the minimum wage, no poverty reduction plan, no child care plan, downloaded costs on school boards. All of those things will have an impact on working families that won't be good.
But to the finance minister, only one thing and one word counts.
And for the third year in a row, I say with pride that it is a game plan for Team BC that is balanced.
His favorite word. All right, we'll bring in Keith now for a little more perspective on this. Keith, there was, in a budget that didn't contain a lot of surprises, a little one at least, including a squeeze on school boards. Describe what that means.
Yeah, a couple of years ago, the government had flagged that they wanted to see more savings and efficiencies realized at the school board level. We didn't really put a number on it. Today, we got the number. School boards are going to have to cut $29 million, find savings worth $29 million in the coming year, and then another $25 million on that in the year after that. So that's over $50 million coming from school boards who almost inevitably every year complain about trying to balance budgets when they're faced with escalating costs such as inflation, heating costs, MSP premium costs for their employees. So education is getting more funding, but it's going to fund the collective agreements for the teachers and the support staff that were reached last fall. There's more money in the classroom for teaching instruction, but when it comes to public administration of schools, it's a big cut. And it was going to be interesting to see how school boards handle that. One other wrinkle, Chris, on the education front, independent schools, which have been a hot-button issue because of that strike last year, and enrollment is up there. That's getting they're getting a $30 million hike from $280 million to $310 million. That's not going to go over well, I think, with various members of the public school system, especially school trustees.
Exactly. All right. Thanks very much for that, Keith. Keith Baldry in Victoria.